Jared. I just said this so it sounds like a repeat, but I'm going to, because when you have knowledge, you might as well repeat it. That's what you should do. When you get the truth, repeat it. Don't keep saying, I've said that before. Oh, well. So what? Repeat it until people get it. Jarred. ED, if you put it in the front of a word, DE takes away from. If you put it at the end of the word, ED means it's done. So Jared was jaw, and if you go over to Sanskrit, it means to go back, get away, go, stuff like that. Or usually it means to like take back or to peel back, to jig something, to jar it, to jam it, to jump. It either mean like the JU means to take away from, because it's that symbol going up, like a magnet pointing up. The opening is pointing up, And if you say JA, it means it's manifesting downward with a line in the center saying it's happening right here. But if you say jaw from the other side of the planet, the right side of the planet, and they say it on the opposite way. On this side of the planet, we read it from left to right. And on there, we go from right to left. Our history and our ancestry is right to left. Our explorers came from right to left. But we write the words from left to right. This is where we meet in our middle hemisphere and we disagree. And this is why. You know how much knowledge I'm dropping on you right now? Anyway, so J-A, jaw, R-R. One R is 18, another R is 18. Add 1 and 8 together, that's 9. And then if you add 18 and 18 together, that's 3, 6. If you add 3 and 6 together, well, 36. If you add 3 and 6 together, it's 9. So my brother Jared was 369. Now let me tell you, you might not like that because it's simply put 369. The divine 369 is right there in my family, and so is pi in my family. And I could show you how it is in yours. But it would be harder for me to do it for you because you know all your personal details. And you don't want me to look up all your personal details in the place where they really come from. Because I created them in symbols. All I have to do is look into your stuff and I know everything about you. Not like some private eyes. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They're studying symbols, but they don't know how deep it goes. How deep it goes. And anyway, so Jenn, J-E, not just one N. She doesn't abbreviate it with one N. She likes it with 2 N's. And I have a talk on here already about Jenn Jared, but I wanted to get a little more into it. Why she is the same essence, and so is Eric, and all this kind of stuff. Because Jared died back in this lifetime. J-A came first, and then J-E, and Jared was R-R, which is a reproduction. Like, it's a reoccurrence, which would also mean male or forward force. So then and also with one of the 6's being F, it's father, force. So the Jenn, J-E-N-N, she always abbreviated to Jenn because she was supposed to. She was supposed to see those symbols because J-E-M, which she is a gem. She was the first gem of my childbearing life. And so J-E-N-N, put those together, that's gem. And that's reoccurring downwards. Jared was reoccurring sideways, J-A, sideways. And he died, E-D, closed him up. J-E, next after J-A, J-E-N-N, downwards, manifest, my children, God's children. Jennifer, you had God's children. Sorry. And if I say I-F-E-R, that's identified with the force of energy recreated of God. Ifer, Christopher, Christ offer. You're Christ too. That's your Christ right there, Jen. I just broke down your spiritual math. And cry about it and let go of your job. Quit selling people fake insurance that means nothing, that bases off of paper. It may be hard and scary to say, no, I'm not going to listen to a government of people that force me to work off paper. Because my ex-husband, who I don't love anymore, which is fine, don't love Dan anymore. Love the truth that is spilling through his wisdom. Love the truth that is helping you and everybody save their children from having a world of pain and suffering. Help him do the right thing. No matter how hard it is, discipline yourself, clean up your diet, stop drinking alcohol, smoke more marijuana, honestly. But seriously, I love you guys enough to tell you that you have to. You want to know what marijuana is from nature? It's Mary and it's Juan. So we have 2 different kinds of sounds of names, but it's Mother, Father, or Mary, John, or even Mary, Joseph, if you want to say it that way, because that way it means male and female energy mixed, combined as one thing. It's a 5-point leaf with 2 little small ones, which are for the mind and the consciousness. So you have the 6th chakra and the 7th chakra as those little 2 leaves on the 7 leaf of marijuana. And the 5 are the first 5 chakras. So when you eat marijuana, eat the leaf leaves, because you know what that does? That opens up your gateway. I created this a long time ago. People started saying it in the 60s that it's a gateway drug, but they didn't know what the hell that meant. They thought it led to other drugs. No, it means it'll lead you to the truth. But if you go to other drugs, you lose the truth. You start listening to everybody else and you start chemicalizing your mind. And like I've said before to Xavier, and I said to my father, Edward, today, like, that chi is CHI. You identify with it. CHE is a chemical that you express immaturely. It's before the I. Anything that comes before the I without a certain math combination, if you go from chi and you put cheese, it's because it's the energy of something else that you're expressing in the environment, or in your expressing as itself, cheese. And it's a source of energy. That's what we use it for. Is it not? Cheese. Chi, upon itself, where it's sitting right there, it's energy that we use as a source of energy. And we say cheese is good for you. It might be good for you, which it actually sort of is, but it's not good for the cow. You don't force something to keep lactating. You don't force something to keep giving kids because it hurts its body and it kills it sooner. But the problem is we don't even care about the cows. We wouldn't have tons and tons and tons and tons of cows unless we were killing them. If we just let nature happen, I'll give you an example with just the cows, because this will help animals, and I need to finish this speech. Animals, cows, if we weren't raping them with their own other bulls and let the bulls and the heifers do their own thing, you know you're making, like, heifers say yes to the bull? Maybe you think they don't care, but they don't necessarily want to be mounted and have to go through a birth, have to get milked all the time. But the thing is, you don't care enough that you're taking a life and dismissing it as a fucking burger patty. You're actually very disgraceful for doing that. God itself doesn't like people who do it on purpose. If people wake up and they hear this, they won't eat meat because they know that they're eating themselves. You are eating yourself. You are killing yourself by eating meat. And if you don't believe it, listen to all the stuff I'm saying and ask me any question. Come see me. And if you kill me, all you're doing is throwing away the answers to the puzzle. If anyone killed me, all they're doing is throwing away the answer sheet. But the fun thing is, I've made it in a cosmic astral spot of consciousness where no matter what people do, I won't give them the answers that ruin the fun. I'm trying to give them the answers that give us the fun. Unlock the magic. I'm the Oreo. Brian's the Orion, and I'm the Oreo. I'm the Orion. Like that kind of thing. Because you can say Orion, like together, Orion. Or you can say Orion. Because at that, you know, you can differently pronounce words. So when you pronounce something like Patricia or Patty, like just by pronouncing your name a different way with a different inflection changes it. You can go, hey, real soft. You can go, hey, and people will look. If the first one didn't get a response because it didn't resonate with your tone, if you didn't get their attention and they don't care enough to pay attention to you, if you go, hey, they're like, who are you? But if you go, hey, they'll pay attention. And you have to realize that we are light and sound beings. And if you don't agree, then how would you not? Do you not feel, do you not feel any sensations? Do you not see sight and hear sound? I think so. So if you don't realize that raising your voice gets a different reaction, then you have to realize that eating different food gives you different reactions. And if you don't realize that reading everybody else's knowledge and thinking it becomes yours is a different reaction for everyone who reads everybody else's knowledge. Stop reading anyone else's knowledge. And Dan Alexander is not using just Dan Alexander's knowledge. He is the I itself talking through Dan Alexander with knowledge. Dan Alexander is just the vessel of God, just like your body is. But you don't want to, most people don't want to say it. They don't want to do that because you're taught not to. I am God in flesh. We are God in flesh. And I've got it now. And why would I harm anybody ever again over some fucking paper? The trees don't want that to happen because trees like living too. Cows don't want that to happen because cows like living too. You're like, how could it be fun to be a cow eating the grass? Duh. You try eating some grass rhizomes, and that's where you get DMT because you become natural. And when you become natural, you more than see goofy goblins dancing around and terrible things. You hear the sounds of nature. You see the colors of spectrum. You see the beings of spirit because you eat the rhizomes. But you don't just despicably do it and think if you eat 10,000 of them it'll do anything. All it'll do is freak you out because you're being egotistical, greedy, and you're being gluttonous. You're not supposed to overeat Mother Earth either. That's why I do eat very healthy, but I eat like 3 times a week at the most, and I drink things like Things that other people say isn't good for you. That's not good for you. You shouldn't drink that. I'm like, how much do you know besides what you've read on other people's stuff? Taurine, just break it down. And if you don't believe me by breaking words down, and I tell you about every freaking thing from the moon to other planets, when I have so many speeches about the planets, and if you don't believe what I'm saying about the other planets, listen to what I'm saying about you in your own life right now. You know, like your mom, Jennifer, and Jared. How is that not exactly correct? 2 R's facing to the right, 2 N's facing down. One was a reoccurrence, was a representation of a male, and one was a, N together makes an M, the mother of God's children, in this fashion. G-E, say G-O, or J-E, say G-O. Same thing. But people don't want to hear that, because if you take 3 away from J, it makes G. And if you times E times 3, it makes O. So Jen is... she's got to add it together. J, take away 3. That's a G. Okay? You take a C away from J, and it makes G. And actually, it just sort of G meets in the middle of the two, but we're going to say, like, not just in symbol, but in actuality. But G is a representation of the center of C and J. We've got 3, and then we've got 4, 5, 6, and we've got 10, 9, 8, 7. It's meeting on that down. So, like, CJ is a great name. That was a rapper. I'm DJ. He's CJ. You know what I mean? So anyway, like JENN is M. That's manifest into, or just say in form, energy, reoccurring. Like J is 10 minus 3, which makes J, or the G, and E times 3 is 5 times 3 is 15, makes O, G-O. And then she met a guy named Dan. And she wanted to meet God, and she really wanted to do that. But then she lost it because she got caught up in the drinking and the partying and the, I even contributed to it because we used to go watch wrestling and SmackDown and all their pay-per-views. My brother Brian still does it. And all he thinks about is violence and doesn't want to even listen to anybody who does anything that's like not action-packed, because it's not bad. People want to go out and be the hero, and there's this bottle-up energy that wants to hold the sword in the air with the blood on their body and make it through the battle. Like, I don't want to go out and get cut, but if I went out and got cut and killed that guy and made it through just to tell my awesome story, that's what I want. But then when they get in it, they don't keep the bravery knowing they'll make it. You know how I lived through so many wars where hundreds and hundreds of people around me died, and somehow I managed to sword fight and literally kill through 300, 400 people at a time? It's because I just knew that I wouldn't die. I already knew that I was the immortal one, and they were all confused people playing an ego. I knew I was the immortal. Like, I, Dan Alexander, am the immortal, the only one. That's the only difference between God and the God that is in other people and the God that is in other people. God is just a word. Immortal is a bigger word that people understand. God would be immortal. Well, guess what? When God finds himself, which he did, I'm the immortal one. And I can teach other people how to unlock that in themselves. Because you keep this brain, you keep this mentality if you don't die in fear. If you die in love, you just go right to the next one, right to the next one, right to the next one. And I know it because I've done it. I went back and I did it, and I cured a lot of people. And the only way we're going to cure it in the world is by making people who, okay, there's a bunch of people who are doing really nice things, but there's a lot of people who are doing really nice things and being like, those people that aren't doing really nice things are assholes, and I'm going to say something about it. You got to do it with love. You can't go, we're going to round up some people and go hunt down the bad guys. Because the bad guys aren't bad. They just were raised differently. And you've offended them by holding them down with segregation and bills and taxes. T plus before you get anything, plus the T comes before, and the A, all. Before all, you're centered on energy source. So they're basically saying, we're getting it before you do. The T comes before access. T, axis. Like, if you wanted to associate with your center, it would be your axis, right? Right? But if they want to take away from your center, take your power away, the word is taxes. Nobody knows that that's a spell. That's how you spell words. Do you want to see what a wizard really is? I just did it again. Taxes, axis, every word. And what is it? They're like, that's just silly. I'm like, well, let me think. Aren't there people that take your taxes that suck away from the center of what you truly want to do? Well, this isn't just me saying it to be cool. This is me saying everything I say because I speak the golden language. I speak the light language. I'm the golden ratio. I'm pi. I'm 369. I'm all of it. And so are other people, but they have to find their pieces and put it together. And it won't happen the same way as me because, as you can see, God and Dan can only be formed that with Dan. And it all adds up with my middle name, my last name, and all that stuff. So there's even Dan Griebel, who's just went to church and he was agreeable. He went to church and he believes in God the way he heard it. But now he's older, so he probably doesn't, because he also got into my same school. And me and him were both like the same dude. And he always liked me and I always liked him. We never really got too close because we were like one and the same, but different, if that makes any sense. I was Dan Alexander. Like, I'm going to stand up for our lexicon and defend her. Or, I can break it down with my, my act of livingness expressed in the center, basically my Ali, my Allah in my center. And then ER, energy reoccurring. Or you can say Ananda. On that side of the world, they say ANDNA. Because they write things a little different, sort of backwards. We go ANDER instead of NA, which is the first in the middle and the first in the front. And then we say ER, which is how we energy reoccurring. We're not saying NA as in taking back in English. We're saying ER as in going ahead. See what I'm saying? Some of it's symbols, symbology, and some of it's math. So spiritual math doesn't mean it's all going to add together like numbers. That's where people lose it. This is me going deeper than numbers, deeper than the words, deeper than that, but through them. Pi, the 3.14, like all that kind of stuff. Like, did you hear how I said, like, when you flip those words around, sometimes it's the shapes. And you can still do it with the numbers. If it's like, say, if the numbers don't seem like it, but like T and A can be U, or T and A can be S, but not too often. Like, because axis, taxes. So you could take it off and you could say, like your center, but that would end up turning into, and it's too hard to, not really hard, but I don't want to keep doing it and wasting time because we're going to go do other stuff. But I think, believe me, I may not want to do it right now, but I could. Like, I feel bad that Xavier's always with me and I'm recording stuff because I want to help the world more than I just want to help him, because I believe that you hear me saying this too. And I want to help everybody, and I know he does too. So I'm going to spend some quality one-on-one me time, Dan time, and I am going to let Dan go for a little bit. So, peace, y'all. God loves you.
Peace, y'all.
And do you believe in God?
Yeah, I do.
I would say, of course I do. I'm looking at him, but I am looking at him too, and her, and the grass, and the birdhouse, and the beautiful, awesome birds. Bodies in reoccurring domain. They fly all over the place.
It's one on the right looks kind of blip. You see him?
Yeah. Body identified reoccurring definition of source. It's a living thing, and it's a little body. It's a bitty birdie. That isn't just rhythmic. It's the truth. It's resonation. Think of yourself as a heathen talking up through saying, "That's a bitty body birdie." Bird. And bird sounds more mature, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Bitty body birdie. Bird. That's where bird came from. As us talking up just from, like, not just an infant baby going, bird. It's like from our consciousness, from our consciousness's infancy. We were like, bit, 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 but, ba, yeah, and even on other places, people say Baba Ramdas and Baba whatever, because that's how they talked. And then it went into Dada when Dada was a bigger thing. And now over here is Dan Alexander, which is D-A and Allah together, and J-A, which is like, there's so many J things in Jesus and Jonathan and whatever. People are like, there's not many J-A's. I'm like, that's because it's me. This is my turn. I solved the game. And I got to play all the characters in this whole lifetime. When you solve the game, you'll get to play all the characters in this lifetime. But just a warning, it hurts. And if you don't know how to handle it, don't do it. Because it will terrify you more than you thought terrifying was terrifying, dude. If you think watching a scary movie and then going outside where crickets are chirping in there, you hear a frog and go, or like, oh, something just jumped in the thing and I don't know what it was. Imagine dying millions of times and nobody believing you. And then you have to be honest because it's the truth and nobody believes you. And then on top of it, you've died millions of fucking times and all you have is the torture of what we keep doing to each other until people listen and not eating ourselves by meat or over disrespecting Mother Earth. We don't need trees and paper cut down. We can talk through computers, but we need to stop giving computers the power to rethink our algorithms. We don't want algorithms. We want things to be right. And once we find the right thing, we should keep it instead of being scared that it'll take away your fake power. Because people believe my power, so I know it's fake, but I don't care. That guy, I can hear what he's talking about, but I don't want to listen to him and open my heart enough to, like, let him do it. I want to kill him before it happens so I can keep my power. You know how many people do that? And did that make sense? I mean, that's exactly what's happened to me billions of times. And recently, I died yesterday thousands of times. Just in my area, like in my state, I feel the energy when people die. But it doesn't mean anything. It means a lot at the same time, but it's not like I'm like, I feel just how our world acts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just kind of like pictured like every time someone died.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you may think that stuff's harder to imagine than the words and letters and stuff.
But I understand that though, because I mean I've had moments where we'd pass like roadkill and I just felt it. I was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like how you feel that when you see it, when it happens to a earth body, we're just Mother Earth. Mm-hmm. When it happens to an earth body, I feel it, I know it, and I just say, well, another earth body of Mother Earth did that. So I'm not mad, because it's the same one being here on this planet. Never will be other than that. But you have to accept the fact that you're going to go into other people who don't understand that at all, and they never will. Even no matter how many people you tell it to in the best words possible, they're like, I don't believe in that shit. And if they don't believe in it, they can't conceive in it. And when you can believe in it, you have birth and you conceive in it. You are reborn. And people usually say they're reborn Christian, which I'm a reborn Christian or a newborn baby. You're not really newborn at that time. It's just N-E-W. Now expressed what, where, when, why. All 5. Because it's 2 plus 3, 23. Who, what, when, where, why. That's one of the only letters that I say. You know, I only use 3 words like wonder, wander, and like because wand is like wand. A person walking around is looking for something magical. You're wandering around because you're looking for something. Why is it called wander? Because you're the all thing. You have no duty or responsibility. You're just wandering. And the ER is your energy reoccurring. Why do we call it a wand when somebody holds it in their hand and makes magic? Because the magic was something that didn't have to happen, but they made it. So when you wander around, you're just not doing anything because nothing has to be done. When you have a wand in your hand and you make something, it's the opposite of, say, how look at that spider hopping across there. That's cool. That is awesome. That is awesome. That is cool. It's a biggie.
It's just jumping.
That's so cool. A jumping spider. Go for it, man. Awesome. And it's right in the middle of our recording, but you should see this wolf spider. They're so adorable. It's just they're scared of us because everyone kills them. Stop killing them.
You see that on the top of the hill?
I thought it was the cutest little thing. Wasn't that cute?
It was
it's awesome. Just as cute as watching a rabbit. And people would hear that and be like, no way.
I saw it from when it came out. I was looking over there and I was like, what is that? It came out and went pop, 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 pop.
Imagine this. Instead of people going, eek, a spider, and killing it, put like a little piece of something out for it, like a cracker or something. Like let it sit there, and then when it comes by, over time, guess what? You'll train a spider. I've done it, but I haven't done it in this life because I have more important things to do. I don't have the time to sit and be a bug show circus. People can train fleas, flies, dogs, tigers, cats. They can train stuff because they spend their mind concentrating on doing it. How would I do it? You go into your mind and imagine it. I've done it. I've trained flea circuses. I've trained everything. I've done everything. And I'm not joking, but people don't know how to really understand when your mind is truly the divine mind. There's nothing you haven't done. And it doesn't just mean you haven't done it in a human body. It means you have done it in time, space, which means you felt it physically so that you can re-express it to other people. How would I be able to say all this shit if I didn't know it? I know it, not just within me, of me. It is Dan. Like, now it is Dan. Dan felt the pain of all the deaths there have been. And imagine how terrible it is for someone to really have gone through and have other people think they're stupid. Imagine how that feels. That's what Christ means, being on the cross and no one believing you. Or not, some people did. But the thing is, no matter how well I put it in words, people that hear it, some people are like, oh my God, I can't believe I overlooked this while I was busy watching Netflix. You know, Netflix is giving away a free year to keep you home. It literally says that. We're giving you Netflix free for a year to keep you home. Don't stay home. Go outside in nature. And if staying home means staying home, then go outside. Don't watch Netflix. Sorry, Netflix. Even your CEO, if he heard me, he would listen. I believe that. So people just need to hear the right person and sit down and shut up. Sit down and shut up. That's not a rude thing to say when, dude, sit down and shut up and I will bless you. And when I say I mean that one.
It's not rude when it's honest.
And Dan Alexander, I've given Dan Alexander the power to bless. Like truly, God bless everybody. And he says it all the time, and people take it as a joke. Every time he says it, he gives it to you. If you hear it, read it, think it, and go, you know, thank you. I believe that. You'll get it. That's how it works. That's what belief does mean. So don't listen to Sadhguru. He's a good guy and he's helping a lot of people, but he's still a little messed up.
And like every other person that's out there trying to help, but they don't quite get the.
Yeah, you got to be louder because I want to hear it. If you want,
they don't quite get the full grasp of it, like you said, Sadhguru.
Yeah,
he follows after his specific religion. You know what I mean?
I mean, like I said, his specific religion, which isn't a religion, it's Hindu. Hindu's a very, very helpful one.
Hindu is really good.
There's
but
a few
it's not
that
completely. You know what I mean?
All of them. Here's a weird thing: all of the religions help because you can interpret them through math.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm talking, because I've been there, I can interpret
King
every.
James version.
I can interpret that through math too.
Well, yeah, I know, but
because I remember King James. You know, I remember all the shit. Like when people tell, I don't want to say like I remember the wife, but I don't want to dive into it again.
I know you have because me as a kid, I would read verses in the Bible at church and stuff, and I could tell the parts that seemed fake, like the ones that just didn't add up to the part like before it. It's like, okay, that had to have been written in by King James.
Yeah, they're made by people.
Yeah.
The Romans is rumors.
You think a king that interpreted a book about a higher power that created the earth wouldn't alter it to make him a little more powerful to the people?
Was this the one we started with, Jenn, Jared?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? This actually goes into a very powerful thing with what we were just saying. What exactly did you just say?
King James.
King James, okay. And in the King James version, where you use stuff that is one N, you said something else in it. Oh man, see, because it's math, and I try not to stay out of it.
When you do the King James version in the Bible, I mean, what people would see God as is a higher power that can hold the universe in his hand, that loves humans, and we were made after his image. So he's something that people would follow after. So if a king, which is a ruler of people, were to rewrite a book about that higher being, I would think that that specific one too would alter it to make him seem a little better.
Yeah, but there was an N and an R that I was going to turn for you in the Bible that explains a lot of stuff. Romans and rumors. When you say the Romans at the end of the Bible, Roman, that's one, that's singular, that's N into nature, not just manifest. It's made by somebody. It's not two-way. It's not two loops. It's not manifest. It's someone's nature. So Roman is a reoccurring, ongoing manifestation actualized in nature. So then that means that Romans were telling you something. We all listen to the Romans. We all talk Roman numerals. We say we came from Rome and all this dialect and Greeks, right? Mm-hmm. Let me go a little further. Jarr and Gen or Jenn, breaking down that way. In the same way, how one is an R reoccurring, that does happen, that can happen, and it happened through life as an example, right here through skin and bones, through all the people that I know, and I can show you if you need to clarify. But other than that, and the N, she put two N's together, which is an M, which manifested my children. That's not something that I'm making up. It happened. Jen's out there, and she doesn't really like me all that much or really care to get to know me. But if she listened, she'd be like, well, this couldn't have been somebody that made it up. No, God made it up. And Dan lived it out. Dan found it out. Dan lived the lives. Dan can tell you. Romans in the Bible even. R-O-M-A-N. If you do that again, it becomes an R-U, unanimous. M-O-R, because it's reoccurring. R-U-M-O-R. Romans is all rumors. Exactly. It's mathematic correct. Scientifically, look at it, scientists. I'll show every scientist in the world my formula if they'll do it for using it for good, if they'll get rid of fucking petroleum, if they'll stop digging into Mother Earth and killing our body by digging it. And the people that are doing it are thinking they're doing a smart thing because they're working for a good corporation and don't want to lose their jobs because they're worried about money, which is also cutting down Mother Nature, which is now turning into cryptocurrency, which means dead current, which just is saying now we're going to base people off of fake digits that they earn on fucking nothing, selling Amazon on blankets and selling shit, buying it for cheap and ripping somebody off. This is not a moral thing to do. This is something that you do to qualify with more rules and qualifications and satisfaction. I don't say satisfaction, satisfaction.
Let's get a kid more rich by noticing him on the internet for selling burrito blankets.
Yeah, and you know what? A fact isn't a fact, because when you get a bunch of people together, and like if you say that guy's my friend, and he's not, you would say that's fiction, because identified with you at that point, it's not. If he became your friend, it's a faction. Fact. That's all fact means. So when someone say classify, and you get into, man, there's so much stuff to say, and I don't want to keep wasting the time, because it's not really a waste of time. This is like wisdom bombs. But I keep going back and forth between the 50-50 channel that I'm on. I'm always on channeling. So if anybody ever wants to talk to Divine, all you have to do is ask Dan to do it, and I'll do it for you if you take it seriously. Anybody. This is me saying it to my phone. This is a ridiculous thing for the divine being to be doing. Saying it to his phone. He should be saying it to a stadium full of people, not in just an audience, a stadium, without being interrupted. Be like, give me one word you want to understand about. Give me a few things. Give me a page. I'll do it. I can bring my own, but then you'll think I did it beforehand. I'd rather not. I'd rather have someone from the audience give me something, and I can break it down and be like, and the whole freaking crowd would be like, oh my God. And I'm like, who's next? Who's next? Who's next? Who's next? And I just did it with Romans and Rumors, Jared and Jenn, being my brother and being my wife who manifested my children. I did it with Pi 369, everything. I can do it with anything, because I'm not just playing around. I'm the only immortal that's been on Earth. I'm the only Ra there's ever been. The true one. And all these people are getting like confused by the Raw Chronicles, and there's this thing called Cryon, and it's just some weird dude who's using what he has a connection, but he also has his own thoughts that aren't out of his head yet, and they're being stored in the meat and the fat cells and all the garbage that they put in their body, like syrups that they shouldn't have, and they think they eat healthy, but they're eating the wrong things. Don't eat too many tomatoes. Keep a balanced spectrum of colorful foods. Don't eat every day. Eat 3 out of 7, maybe 3.5, a small meal in the middle. Wednesday is a day when. That's the day when you should eat. So eat on Wednesday. And I always made sure I did, because my kids would come on Wednesdays. Even Jazzy and Leo used to come. They'd come on Wednesdays.
We used to come on Wednesdays.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, because there was a short period of twice a week, and it was Wednesdays. So we would have that. Think about that. I didn't just make that up. That's what we did. And we did it subconsciously. Not consciously, but when is the third day of the week? It's the day when you should eat. I wouldn't say it's the third day of the week. It's the fourth. But Sunday is either considered the first day, or Monday is considered the first day of the work week. Which,
or
see how...
in other places.
Yeah, and so see how hard it is to really get that to make sense to people when I'm saying it's not just all numbers and it's not just all letters. There's consciousness. There's signs and symbols that are, you have to have your third eye open to see them. And people say, I got my third eye open because I know that it's bullshit. But I want money, and I want my nice truck, and I want my stuff. And I'm not discrediting you for it. But if you want to hear the truth, this is what the divine being would say to you to wise you up. You might get mad and want to punch him or kill him or shoot him or stop him from taking your power. But that's your weakness. And if
also, you can't say you have your third eye open and you want money for a nice truck in the same sentence.
You can't. You really can't. It's actually quite stupid. But I want it. No, you don't. Your ego does. Me wants it. I don't want anything at all. I want the truth to be known, and it is being shown. So now all it has to do is be absorbed. So the truth can be shown and the truth can be known. Someone says the truth can be sold, but the truth can't be told. That was Snoop Dogg. And guess what? He's only powerful because his name is D-O-G-G. He spelled God backwards. And what does he do? He raps about the things God shouldn't do. Exactly that. And 2 G's upon itself. D-O-G-G. Defined ongoing generation upon itself. And he defined his ongoing generation. Yeah, Snoop Doggy Dogg. Living in the streets, nigga. That's what I do. I'm black. And I'm a nigga. Pulling my trigger with my finger. Oh, snap. Mark back. Snap like the cat. But the cat don't like the dog. The dog chased the cat. Killed the rat. And he hit the ball with the bat like that. I remember. I wrote all Snoop Dogg songs in his head. But that's like insulting to people because I love Snoop Dogg. But at the same time, I'm supposed to say stuff like Dre and Snoop. I'm only saying this to you to get you a little riled up so that you come back to teach the children the right thing to do. Get out of gang violence. Quit supporting it because it's what you came from. Quit acting like your past is what if it made you what you are today, it made you what you are today because either you lived off the stinginess of the money, you lived off the stinginess of the fame, or you became wise enough to get out of the limelight and say, you know what, I want to mean something else and I want to do something for my community or my environment. But then if you say like, you'll see people doing something wrong, and instead of saying, like, I want to start a society where we can talk to kids and make sense to them and help them, and you just go, yeah, whatever, I'm too busy making money, motherfucker, you're not helping anybody. You're only being a pig, and you're only hogging it all up for yourself. And there is nothing in this world but a bunch of distorted color and matter. I can hold this in my hand. Cool. Nobody gives a fuck about you, but you like what you have in your hand, and it's good enough for your ego. But Snoop Dogg and Dre, I dare you to come back and make albums that are actually about helping people instead of, if your stuff stays out there and influences the world and says, yeah, kill motherfuckers, shoot, shoot, shoot. Like, I wouldn't say fight the cops either, but love them until they stop thinking that they're cops, because all they're doing is hunting people for the government. They have a license. They have a hunting license. It's called a badge. They have a hunting license to go hunt people that don't listen to the government. If that's not true, someone tell me what it is. And I don't care how many people say, well, I voted for these officials. I'm like, I didn't. And I'm the I that should be being listened to, because I'm doing things the right way, whether you agree or not, because the right way has a truth. There is a right and a wrong. You don't do unnatural things. That is wrong. You say, but I'm allowed to. Yeah, you're allowed to, but it affects the world. No, it doesn't. Okay. Everything you just did yourself affected you, right? You don't affect anybody, right? Nobody sees you, hears you, is around you ever, right? Wrong. You're wrong. Everything you do is wrong. And Weird Al tried to tell you, everything you know is wrong. Right up is left, us down is short is long. And everything you thought was just so important doesn't matter. You know how I know those songs? Not only do I only need to hear them once or twice, because I wrote them in their heads. And the more I stay in tune with God, the more I know everything. Like when I hear songs, I remember writing them. Not even like as dead past people, I remember the lives of the past ones. But the ones that are alive now, I remember being the imagination in their mind. And if I don't want to focus on it, I don't listen to it, because I know that it'll recreate more of it in the world. Like if I keep listening to gangster music, it would do bad. My own songs that are violent and negative, I think that they're still okay because, and then it's not just me being picky. There's a moral to them. Yeah, I'll say the violence and then I say the moral. And there's old ones that are just...
Especially the new ones that you, like, made the verse to, but then you made another verse after it. Like, even...
Welcome to the big league.
That and Cold Sweat.
I love that.
The last verse, you're like, well, it totally fought off my monsters. You know what I mean?
But people still think bad of you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to put that one out soon.
I mean, yeah, that's a
And
good one.
when I say I want to put that one out soon, that's the creativity that is, I'm a genie. So are you. You dream of genie. And Jasmine's name is Dream. Jasmine. Jasmyne. And we spelled her name wrong. So now she's going to be confused. She's caught between her mom and her dad. Look. She's caught between her mom and her dad. We named her that. We named her that, and it's happening. Everything that is happening is because of unconscious stuff and love. Like, me and Brittany were in love. So we named her something, and I sort of let Brittany come up with the why because she wanted to make it cool and whatever. She was adolescent, and she did it wrong. Is it not wrong? It's a wrong way to spell it, but it's not wrong. Nothing's wrong. The plant jasmine is spelled a certain way, and that's how it's supposed to be represented. We represented it a different way, which split her identity, into between her mom and dad. If that's not true and that's not happening in a real world right in front of you and me, in front of our eyes, which we could show other people, to say that this dude isn't bull, this dude isn't full of anything but truth, you know? And if people don't want to hear that, then that's them being scared of what the world could be when it actually becomes free. The world can be so great, and I have all the ideas because I've been everywhere. Like, just take me somewhere and ask me what you think would be fun and what would you like to do. And I'll tell you why you shouldn't, because it might hurt things. And I'll tell you why you shouldn't. All the foam and plastic we have already, we can use. We don't cut down more and make it unless we find a way to do it without chemicalizing or toxifying. You know, and we can think toxic doesn't whatever, but if we're digging out of the ground, the earth has much, much more memory than the people on it. So we can't just say, well, listen, Mother Earth, we're going to do this. No.
Earth doesn't hold a grudge, but it definitely holds the memory.
Yeah, and not even all the human beings on the land of the planet are going to tell it what to do. All they can do is destroy it by overtaking
and
from
if we do it, and if we overdo it, it could definitely destroy us too.
Well, yeah, because it's either we overtake it, we scare it away till it overtakes us, or we're the gardeners and we keep it in shape. We let the little bugs do their little things. We let the rodents do their things. We let the prey and the predators do their things. And we do our thing. We take care of the rest. We don't kill any of them. If they come in and if you're being threatened, you fight them off. You start finding ways. We get rid of guns slowly and get rid of things, and we get tranquilizers or something for animals. Things that won't even kill humans. Things that'll only put an animal to sleep so that you can put it safely somewhere else. But if it comes to the point where you have to kill it, you don't have to kill it. You put it to sleep. And if it gets to the point, like, while we do that stuff, we find things that fence them off, and we also work on becoming bonded with them by leaving them healthy things that resemble the meat they eat, so we even get animals off of eating each other, and we could literally live in a world like Zootopia. I'm not trying to sound funny or whatever, but I've been there, and that's why I told the people that work at Walt Disney to make that movie, not Dan, but truly the eye that is channeling through Dan all the time. Like, I was there, and I remember making Zootopia. I remember making it. I know what Zootopia 2 is going to be like, but I don't want to sit and review it in my mind. I want to see it and make it seem like it's new. Mm-hmm. There's actually going to be 2 and 3. It's going to come later. I bet you can check that out. I probably just made it up and it'll show up on the internet right now. I bet. That's crazy, but no. 2 and 3, that's sort of a tough one. That's a difficult challenge. I just said it from the eye. I just said it from the me place, channeling the eye into the back of my phone. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't watched Zootopia for like a year, or maybe about 3 months. We watched it 3 months ago or so. But I just said that. But there'll probably be a news report from 2 months or 6 months or 10 months ago that says Zootopia 2 and 3, right? What?
No, my phone's not loading or anything.
Oh, I was going to say that would be awesome. I thought you went like it was. I'm like, I don't want to look because I'm just sort of freaked out by it because it just came out. And if it's not there, then I must not have been channeling. But I know I was. I still am. You know what I mean? But that just makes me almost be like, I don't want to secondary belief myself. I won't. I'm just going to not say anything for a minute. I'm going to turn my phone off and stop recording.